Opening up with the JLT. Lost in Translation is the 130 favourite. Defi de Soy 7-2. Real Steel 7-1. Kildesart 10-1. Glen Forza unlikely to run the race, we think, but is currently 10-1. About 7-1. No run, no bet. Similar story for top of the game as well. And 16-1 bar really. Andy, I'll come to you first here. Interesting couple at the top end of the market. Are you looking there, or are you looking at some bigger prices for your value?
Well, again, I think just as a punter, you've got to have a bet in this race, whether you fancy something strong or not. Sometimes races just kind of like force you to, because you just know there's an edge or there's an angle. Again, it's another race I think will cut it quite badly. You've only got to look down the list. Half of these are not going to run. Glen Forza, top of the game, Vindication, Kalashnikov, Delta Work, Hardline, Meglicon will probably go Arkle, Champagne Classic, Privagaluna, Driver's Loan. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we're only going to get a small field here. So the value is definitely to have a bet now, particularly if you can secure something from an each-way perspective. Obviously, you know, it's 1-1 between Lost in Translation and Defi de Soy in their match head-to-heads. Defi de Soy was probably delivered too soon at the Cheltenham meeting, and Lost in Translation on that long run-in was able to re-rally, and his extra stamina came into play, and then Geraghty did his homework and dive-bombed Richard Johnson on Colin Tizard's charge at Sandown. So it's a very difficult balancing act between the two. There are obviously not much between them. The way the race will develop and how the tactics will pan out will be the significant outcome, factor in the outcome between those two. I wouldn't have a definitive view on who's the better horse out of the two. I think Lost in Translation, if I was having my life on one of those two, but, you know, running up to his very best form at this track, I'd probably go Lost in Translation, just because I think the hill suits him better than Defi de Soy. But that, you know, doesn't mean to say I think the other one, you know, can't operate. But away from those front two in the market, I think the bet in the race, as it stands, as I said, with all those defections, has got to be Kildesart, Ben Pauling's horse. He's guaranteed to run. That's one.
Half the battle.
Barring, you know, obviously something going completely wrong. And the form of that Cheltenham race, which he won on trials day, has worked out really well. The time figure was good. They went a good solid pace. I actually backed the horse that made the running that day, Highway 101. Still can't believe he didn't win. I've never known a horse jump so badly and yet still win a race as easily as he did. He made error after error after error. Oddschecker, whether he just couldn't see a stride or not, I don't know, but he put down on virtually every single fence. He should not have won that race. He gave up that much energy. You look at Dentley de May, was fourth, ran really well at Exeter. First Drifter was seventh, got beat 39 lengths, won a handicap hurdle. And even Azerti, who was going well at the time, coming down the hill, he won at Ludlow the other day. So that race has worked out well. He was 5.8 seconds quicker than Frodon on the last circuit, which is around about 25 lengths. So inadvertently, they were gutted that performance kicked him out the close brothers, but it now means that he's got a really big chance of winning the JLT, which is obviously a grade one.
And when the race cuts up, you assume that 10-1 will be a thing of...
Yeah, and I think the small field will help his jumping as well. You know, if there was 15 runners or whatever, then that'd be a concern. And it still is, but because he's the only course and distance winner in the field, and he's clocked a very good time around there, I'll be very keen on him 10-1 each way.
Tony?
Yeah, concur. I think it's probably, at the current prices here and now, I think it's probably one of the bets of Thursday. I think 10-1, no bet. Obviously, we got injury factor in the next week or so, so that's always a good safety net, and that's a top price as well. That's with Bet365, who also offer, and it's not really flagged up a lot. They do bet a quarter of the odds instead of the fifth. So, you know, that's a fair concession as well. The race just outside the front two, I think you can get 11-8 if you fancy one of combine the top two. So. That may well interest you, but like I said, the race is just full of probable non-runners. Kildesart's going to go there. It's not massively shy of them on form. It's got course form. It's got a lot going for it. Kildesart at 10-1 each way. You know, a third, the first four. It's the fifth, the quarter of the odds. Kildesart basically.
We're going to get the clean sweep here.
No. On good ground, I'd really fancy Lost in Translation. I think he is somewhat ground dependent in that he's that much better on better ground. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes during the week. And Defi de Soy is not averse to softer ground. I think the front two in the market are very solid, but as the lads have said, beyond that, there isn't a huge amount of depth. I think whatever Willie runs will go well. Real Steel is in there, Prav Laguna is in there. We've got Camellia de Cot. I'd say she's more likely than not to run here. I don't think there's a huge amount of pace in the race, so she could actually get her own way in front, and that might suit her. Be delighted if she came in the first 4. I don't think for a minute she's up to beating either of the front 2 in the market. But I think it'd be ground dependent, would sway me towards Defi or Lost in Translation.
How would you price up coming here for this race, JLT?
I'd be favoured over the Arkle, yeah. I can't see us going the handicap. I don't see the merit in going for a handicap when you're already a few pounds wrong. You don't get your 7, and it's a much deeper and competitive field than what the graded races look like.
You probably recommend people taking the 25s all in rather than the 16s on
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think if we ran in the Arkle, there's so much pace in it that she'd probably sulk.
And there's as short as 12 to 1 elsewhere. So that 25 to 1 with Hills given, Joe telling us that it's more than likely that she'll run there. Seems like some decent value, even if he would be delighted if she finishes in the 4.
It's quite frightening how much this race could cut up, isn't it?
It's just
there might like Willie could have half the field here if you wanted.
Yeah.
If he you know, in a way, I don't mean that facetiously, but you know, you could make a case for running Duke de Genève, Real Steel, Camille de Cod, Prava Laguna, all of them to run here, and that could be 4 of 9 or 10.
Normally, if you bet anti-post, you are literally giving up an extra place that you normally get on the day. Here you could be getting the extra place. It could easily be 7 or less runners.
Is that for those of you who don't understand how place terms work? Currently 3 places, and if you back them now each way, despite the fact the bet's cutting up, because it's anti-post, if there are less than 8 runners, you will still get your 3 places. So this is probably a race not to wait for the day, because you could suddenly be backing Kill de Sart at. Andy looks very confused.
Yeah, so no.
Because you could be back and Kill de Sart at a shorter price and only getting the two spots.
I was going to say there was only 7 runners in the race last year, but I was getting confused with the Balco de Flow race, the Ryanair.